Yeah, I love talking about Joy Hour. It is a great event we do, and it's spreading across the country. The Joy Hour is creating a culture of connection. In a sober environment, we have all kinds of events and activities, but it really is creating a culture of connection. Our focus is addiction prevention, also addiction recovery, mental health, hope, and healing through connection. If you'd like to get involved, please go to theconsiderategroup.com/Joy Hour. So, Stephanie Pallady, so good to have you on the Joy Hour podcast.
Thank you.
It's an exciting day here to get to know each other more. Mostly going to hear your story. I've been on a couple times, and I know I've talked a little bit about my story, and you, of course, have heard a little bit of that as well. But the Joy Hour podcast is a great place just to share whatever's on your heart. You know, a lot of times we just talk about our stories and things that we've been through and experienced, life experiences that by sharing has truly allowed others to reach out and say, you know, something you said or something she said really resonated with me, and I'm in a spot in my life where I need more of that. And so I know people will be continuing to watch these episodes and know that there's somebody in their community they can reach out and say, hey, I'd like to talk more, I'd like to learn more, hey, how did you do that? And so I'm excited to listen today and just jump into who is Stephanie.
Well, I guess first of all, like, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a hairdresser, and really I'm just figuring it out right now. I became a mom like 5.5 years ago, and that really just opened up a lot of different doors for me. One thing that specifically kind of is bringing me here today is my journey of being alcohol free. And that didn't happen until 2.5 years ago. And it had been a long time coming. And when I became a mom, it was on the back of my mind, but I kind of just accepted that was part of my life and that was who I was. I was a person, the girl who drank, the party girl, and that was just like kind of an identity, I guess you could say, that was just part of me. And I had a couple things happen that really prompted me to just say, you know what, this is not who I am. And being a mom really made me look at that. I don't want that for my kids. I definitely don't want them to see that version of me. No. So I said, I'm done. And I haven't looked back since, and it's just been a really eye-opening and learning experience for me. And it's not easy. It doesn't make, life, nothing good comes easy, right? So, it takes work to better yourself. And with that, a lot of doors have opened for me. So I'm an entrepreneur. I work in the online space, and ultimately I just am here because I want to inspire people. I want to let people know that hard things are possible and that your story is important. Mm-hmm. Like, you are important, right, no matter what. Right. You're unique. Your path is perfectly paved. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. Right. Even if you've done shameful things in your life, there's a reason. And, it's so easy to get into the tunnel vision of or the spiral or the darkness, and to live in the darkness of our lives. Or if there are things that you're shameful for, it's hard to kind of pull yourself out. But what I've learned on this journey is that there's no light without darkness. Right. And so sometimes you have to face yourself. For me, I literally could barely look in the mirror. Mm-hmm. I hated myself. And to say that is emotional, like to say that I hated myself. I was ashamed of so many things and behaviors and all sorts of stuff. And, I looked myself in the mirror, like literally, and I said, if you can't pull yourself out, or if you can't acknowledge these things in your life that are going on, you better go get some help.
Right.
And I took that and I ran with it, because I was like, I can do this. I had some tools already, and I just, I'm here, and it's just something that I'm ultimately committed to, because I'm committed to bettering myself every day. And it's not going to be perfect, but when I look at my kids, like, they're so deserving of, they were put on this earth for a reason also. And I want to be a better person so that I can show them that their dreams are possible. So,
If I could jump in real
Yeah.
quick too. So the first thing you started with being a mom,
yeah.
because I couldn't do that. And I know we have 3 kids, my wife and I, but you have 3 as well,
Yep.
and it's a full-time job.
So, knowing that about your life and that transition, I'm putting it into context as far as timing. So, your oldest is 5.5?
5.5. Yep.
Okay. And so, of course, I've met them a few times, and full of energy, full of passion, just exciting, wonderful children. And your youngest now is?
He'll be 8 months.
Okay, 8 months. And so, mine being a little bit older, I miss those phases, but those are some of the most impressionable years of a child's life. I just want to say I'm proud of you for
Thanks.
making that big choice
Yeah.
at that early age. I talk to a lot of people, and no matter when you stop an addiction, especially alcohol or substances, it's great. And let's celebrate whatever that day is that somebody is able to finally just stop those main life threatening addictions. But I'm excited for you and your family, your wonderful husband, just to continue to parent. It's one thing to have kids in the same house, and a lot of adults have kids in the same house, but they're not parenting. And I think it's almost impossible to truly parent children I'll speak for myself. When I was in my addiction, people would say, "Oh, you're a great dad." I knew I wasn't a great dad. I knew how much alcohol was in my system, in my car, in my truck, in my shop, and the lies and secrecy that I carried on for years with that. And mine were a little bit older when I quit, but we both are on that same. We're about you're 2.5 years sober,
Yeah.
and I'm a little bit behind you there, 2 years and 1 month. But no matter what, the rebuilding of that bond with a child and the sober parent it's beautiful. It gets better every day. And so I'm just congratulating you and pausing there for a minute. The most successful part of our life is to parent and to truly watch them as all of a sudden you blink and they're 15, you blink again and they're 20, and it's like they become a lot of times a product of what was put into them when they were 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. Those are the most precious, impressionable years. And if you don't and you wait till they're 15, 16, a lot of times from parents I've talked to, it's too late. They've already got established. So continue, but I wanted to definitely shout out
Thank you.
what a great time to stop.
Well, I laugh too, because this journey has opened up other doors as far as like generational things, which is a little bit of a I don't know, it's a touchy subject, I think, because a lot of people like avoid certain things, but our lives, can be cycles, and this alcoholism is in my family. And no, I didn't grow up with alcoholic parents, but there are some behavioral things that come through also.
Yeah.
And, my parents did the best that they could with the tools that they had, and I will always give that to them. Life is difficult, but I see my life as now a way to kind of be a cycle breaker. And with that, though, have opened up other doors for me to be like, okay, I have more than just the addiction to work on.
Right.
There are behavioral patterns and things that definitely show their little faces, and that's a whole nother thing. And but it's okay. You know, I'm open about it. I do have community to talk about things with, and I really, like, my mission is to let people know that it's possible. And it's okay. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to make mistakes. One thing that, like, not that it's not okay, but to brush things under the rug and to, you know, put on this facade, essentially, that you don't make mistakes and that, you know, things are perfect and stuff like that. Like, especially being a parent, they know when things are wrong. The kids do.
Right.
And I talk to my kids every day, and, you know, if I make a mistake or if I yell at my kids, I don't want that to happen. I want to be able to communicate well with my kids, and there's triggers that come up for me that I there's things, like, I haven't had the tools to manage emotions and to parent my kids the best that I can. None of us know exactly how to parent children, but all I can do is be open with them. No matter how young they are, I have conversations with my kids and let them know, like, hey, Mommy made a mistake. I yelled at you and I'm sorry. And I just kind of, like, I mean, some people frown upon that or think that you shouldn't, you know, talk about certain things with your kids at such a young age, and I disagree. I think that it's just to teach them communication and to talk about feelings and emotions and things like that. Like, kids their emotions are huge, and they don't really know what to do with them. So a lot of the times I'm like, okay, I see my kids feeling a certain way, and I'm feeling a certain way, and it's this humble jumble, a little bit of chaos sometimes, but it is up to me to be able to manage my emotions, which I'm not always the best at, but I'm learning as I go.
And then on this sober journey, we are both in that second year. And how many years prior did we deal with those emotions ourselves?
Yes.
With, you know, the
Picking
bottle.
something up, I know.
Whatever
and
it is. And numbing it, changing it, not wanting to feel what we really felt. And now that we're sober, going, no, I really feel depressed.
Yeah.
No, I really feel anger. No, I really feel sad. No, this is really what's going on, and I can't just chug something and change the way I feel, because I don't do that anymore.
Yeah,
so
this was since letting that part of my life go and creating a new identity for myself. This goes way back. Like, I started drinking when I was 14 years old, and I'm learning that it was a coping mechanism for a lot of things. I had issues with friends at a young age. I wanted to fit in. My parents went through certain things, and it wasn't always pretty at my house. And I wanted to escape that. And if I hesitate, because I'm like, if you're listening to this, Mom and Dad, it's okay. But there were things that I didn't want to be around, and then I wanted to fit in, and then there was a lot going on, and I just learned in my experience that I did that to cope. And I didn't even know that was a coping mechanism for me. Because, when you're 14 and you start rebelling and doing things like that, okay, then all of a sudden you're 21 and now it's normal. It's normal to drink. It's normal to do that. And then it just was a snowball effect for me until I was, 30 years old, to being like, you know what? There's got to be more to life than this. And as difficult as it is to be like, dang, I got some things to work on. But now I'm going back half of my life to unlearn and to relearn how to, like, deal with emotions. And unfortunately, society takes that away from us. It doesn't, society makes it normal to drink and to not talk about emotions and how to cope with things. And, depending on like how you're raised and stuff, that might be different for some people. But I've talked to a lot of people in my life. I mean, as a hairdresser, I talk to people every single day. And I've also just dove into lots of different avenues of listening to people and inspirational people. And like, it's very common that a lot of people don't want to talk about the nitty gritty, and they don't know how to cope. And whether it's coping with addiction, and it doesn't have to be a substance. Like, you could be addicted to many things, food, shopping, just examples. And so it's just, I want to normalize talking about emotions.
Right. That's what we're doing today, is how are you feeling? And when you ask somebody that, the typical response that society has taught us to do, I'm good, I'm okay, I'm good. Fine. Yeah. Any of those kind of positive words. But in a lot of the circles you and I have started to be around, and I think are going to continue, because it's a beautiful circle and environment to be in, is when you know that whether it's you or somebody else in the room, you could go, I'm having a horrible day, and I'm thanks for asking, because I'm not really doing great today. And then that next, because you're afraid to say that a lot of times, because the next person's like, well, what do I do with that?
Yeah.
If I, as a friend to you, saw you, and the first question, how you doing? Do I really answer that question on how I'm doing, or do I just give the typical response so that I'm normal, so that I'm okay, so that I'm not going to bring you down, or I'm not going to put something on you where you don't know how to respond? But I think it starts that communication of, hey, that's all right, what's going on? Let's sit down, let's share a little bit more. And hey, if I pick you up one day and then a week later, a month later, we see each other, it's the other way around. And you've got to create a circle, and whether it's one person or 10 or whatever in your community, in your world, where you can truly say, you asked how I'm feeling. So if that's a sincere question, let's pause, like the feelings wheel. There's about 100 words on there.
I have it with me right here.
Yeah, and I do that, periodically with friends in my life and even coworkers. And we got a pillow at the office. I'll throw it at them. How you feeling? They're like, oh, come on, Tom. I'm like, no, just check in.
That's awesome.
Just a check in. How you doing today? And I think that's so important to create those safe places of, thank you, I'm actually pretty good today. Or the next week, it's it's been a really challenging 3 days, and I'm in this state of feeling, and I don't want to just turn to something to alter it. I want it to go away, but I'm going to use different coping mechanisms. And for years, like you said, from 14 years old on, you used that a lot of times as coping. What are some things that you've used in the last 2 years that have helped balance or get through those rough days or rough moments as far as coping skills?
Well, it's funny you ask, because I was thinking about this the other day, and like, there's a lot of things that I've turned to and paths I've gone down, but there's not one specific thing. I've allowed myself to feel, and I've allowed myself to go through the motions in my head, and being like, okay, well, I know one thing is for sure is I'm not going to go drink this away. So I've gone down the path of like really strengthening my relationship with God. And that, I guess, might not be for everybody, even though everybody needs more God in their life. We're not going to turn it into that. But but really, it's what I've turned to. And even in the past 6 months, I've just been called to that. And that's been really helpful for me. But, moving our bodies, nourishing our bodies with things that are healthy and unprocessed, and which sounds silly. Like, is that a coping mechanism? Well, that's not really what I'm getting at. It's just like letting yourself be in the emotions and feeling, and then doing, you can start as little as, like, changing habits is hard.
Right.
Okay? So, even if it's like, okay, I'm going to drink more water, or I'm going to move my body, I'm going to go for a walk. Spending time in nature is huge. So I've done a lot of those things, and just kind of like throwing a stick in and being like, just doing something different, changing the actions. And I talk a lot about what's going on, and or journaling. Like
Right.
those have, you know, if you are on a, if you're curious about this, sober curious, or if you're, if you don't even know where to start, you can, and you don't have right now a place to go for a community or an outlet, you know, something that I recommend is journaling. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Literally, just open up, grab a pen and a piece of paper,
Yeah.
and just dump it out. And that is really helpful. Start with one word, and then just don't even think about it and let it flow. And that's been helpful. But I do talk, and I have an outlet. I have a husband, which he probably wishes that I didn't talk as much as I do. And he's probably like, go find another outlet. But he knows everything most of the time. But since then, I've built community with people, and I've allowed myself to be vulnerable in safe places that I know are safe. And yeah, I mean, you're never going to go wrong with finding God. And if that's uncomfortable for you, that's okay. But I don't know, like, am I allowed to talk about this on here?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is just open mic to share.
I really do. This world has become a place where this place, Earth, society, has become a place where people don't have a higher power. And I think that it's important to know that you're not alone, ever. Whether you feel alone or not, like, you're not alone. And there's always someone else going through something similar.
Yeah.
That's something that I've learned too.
You know, the word God is an interesting one.
Yes.
I have grown up, you know, in a church setting and in a Christian school, and so I'm familiar with the word God. But it wasn't until about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I read a good book, and it was each chapter was a different God. You know, one of them was the God of money. Okay, I definitely had that for a long time. You know, that's where I put my time, my focus, my everything. If I was having a conversation with somebody, it was to try and get them to hire me to do work, right? Because more work meant more money. And so everything in my world, for years, I worshipped the dollar bill, or lots of dollar bills. And then there was the chapter on the God of food, and then the God of self, of course, the God of entertainment, and another one was the God of exercise. And so what it taught me was that, you know, where you spend your time and where you spend your focus. So now, you know, to a lot of people, and I went to rehab, they talk about your higher power. And hey, some people I met, their higher power was this plant right here. And, you know, hey, they're getting sober by saying that, and hats off to you.
Yeah.
Congratulations. If this wristband is what is your higher power to get you sober, I'm on board with cheering for you, with you, absolutely. People need to find their own higher power on their own time, at their own rate. Mine happens to be up there, and he's the one that made the tree. He's the one that made everything. But in this sober curiosity or sober journey, you know, I like that it seems like you kind of think and say some of those same things. And, you know, each person's got to find it on their own. Each person's going to have to, at some point, find their own rock bottom. Yeah. And that rock bottom, for our similarity, was alcohol. You know, for some, it's that rock bottom of, I have a huge bank account and I'm still miserable and I'm just done. And so they make a career change or a life change to go, money is not as important as I thought it was for 30 years. Oh, reset. And then it's that search for balance. I don't think anybody out there would disagree saying, I want to be balanced.
Yeah.
I really would like to be
is
balanced
that?
in my relationships. I would like to be balanced in health, you know, mind, body, spirit. And it's a challenge to continue to make those choices on a daily basis of, oh, I'm out of whack. Every couple months it's, oh, I got too much here. I spend, no time in the gym. Well, now I spend nothing but time in the gym. Okay, where do you find the in-between? Like, you want to be healthy, and that's important, but also you don't want to be an absent mom or an absent dad. You don't want to not have time with your spouse. And you got to have time to work because bills keep coming. And so it's that balance that we search for. But the coping mechanisms, I love hearing that. The journaling, it's huge.
Yeah, it's helpful. I mean, and I talk to a lot of people, and they're like, well, I don't know where to begin with starting new habits. I want to be healthier. But what does that look like? And it can be overwhelming. I know for me, I'm on another journey of like weight loss, which mostly comes from having 3 kids.
Yeah. Thank God. I have my own struggle, and I didn't have any kids. So.
And I say that like I did because that's a whole other thing. Like, I grew up as an athlete, and I've never had to lose weight, and that's like just, and it's funny you mentioned that because right now I'm doing a 12-week like challenge at, we have the same gym actually, and
keep it up though.
And I there's no balance with that. I'm trying, my goal is to be there 5 days a week, okay? And not that just for these 12 weeks. So it's funny you say that because I'm like really trying to get those 5 days in, but it's hard with all the other things that we have going on. But yeah, what I was going to say is when you're starting to try to incorporate new habits in your life, you got to start small because, like I said, it's overwhelming. Like, okay, I'm going to drink an extra glass of water today. Like, it could be as simple as that. So that's my advice, is to start small. Look at your life. What is it that you're trying to achieve? What kind of dreams do you have, and what kind of steps do you need to take to get there? And most of the time it'll be a snowball effect. Something that I will say, just because we're being real, is like, you're going to make progress, but you're going to revert. And you're going to make more progress, and you're going to revert. And that's normal. And you're going to have good days and bad days, or you're going to be, like you were saying earlier, you're going to be great one day, and then life is just a toss-up, really. You don't really know what to expect every single day, and you can be good one day, and then literally later that day something can happen and it'll ruin your good day, or in 3 days or tomorrow it might not. You might have something come in your mind that you remember or that you got to work through, and it's just not easy. But waking up and starting it with something positive, or looking yourself in the mirror and giving yourself a high five. And I learned that from Mel Robbins. She's an amazing motivational woman as well, and she has a book called The High Five Habit. Have you read that book?
That one I haven't.
It's
Add
a
it
good
to
book.
the list.
The High Five Habit. And so this is a cool concept that she brings up. So, when you play sports, and after the game or to your coach or whatever, you give someone a high five. How does a high five typically make somebody feel? Good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
How often do you high five yourself and say, hey, you're doing really good? And you high five yourself. So the high five habit is the concept of literally looking yourself in the mirror every day and giving yourself a high five and saying, hey, you're doing great.
Yeah.
You're amazing. You can do hard things. And I read that book and I did that. I'm not doing it currently, the high five in the mirror every day, but I think about it a lot. But like literally she says, like, or maybe she doesn't say it, but I did. I like traced my hand and had it on my mirror, and every morning I was like, high five, girl, like, you're doing great. And it makes you smile. And a smile is never a bad thing, right? So that's a cool book to read. And
Huge shout out to Zekon. They are doing amazing things to help us, and they will help you. For more information, hit here.
Add that to the list. It reminds me of probably some similarities to Atomic Habits. It says there, so the high five habit, take control of your life with one simple habit. And so many times that word overwhelmed kicks in for all of us. And when we get overwhelmed, what do? Run into it, lean into it. Yeah, that all is great, and that's important. You got a challenge, lean into it. Eat that frog, let's go. But there's also times where it's like, okay, I am going to eat that frog. I'm going to do it one bite at a time. How do you eat an elephant?
I get paralyzed sometimes. I'm so overwhelmed
Right,
that I'm like,
so many-
what do I do?
Right. There's times where you feel like you're conquering this area of your life, and other ones are going, I've just completely let this one drop. And that's back to that balance. But habits, I think as we get into sobriety more, it becomes easier. I know I've had to install good habits to replace the bad ones. I don't know of many
Yes.
people that would say, I just quit bad habits. Okay, well, what did you do with
Yeah.
that time, with that energy, with that focus? And so replacing bad habits with good habits, and it's work, but so was what we used to do.
Yeah.
And it was expensive with what we used to do. And so, a membership at a gym, it costs a few dollars, time and gas, and to go there, it costs time and money. But when
The hardest thing is getting there, right?
Right. When we invest in it, the results are going to be, we are a better parent. We are a better spouse. Before I forget, you'd mentioned to me about a book that I could read.
Yes.
Another one. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I had the opportunity about a year ago to be one of 25 women to share my story in a book, and it's called Unstoppable.
All right.
And it is on Amazon. And me and 25 women. Let's see. Nope, it is right. Type in Elsa Morgan. That's the person that helped me.
And how long ago was it that?
The down here, the purple, and that one. That's the book right
Okay.
there. Volume 2. It might be, it's on Kindle. I can order it. Yeah, see, Stephanie
Yeah.
Paladin, there she is.
All right,
So me
there
and
she
25 women shared our story. This is
Okay.
volume 2, so there's another book
Mm-hmm.
available, volume 1. And so we were asked to overcome adversity. How did we overcome adversity, and what was our story getting us there? So this book is amazing, and it's compiled of, like I said, 25 women wrote our story just to, inspire people.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where it all started. At the beginning of this, I said that my mission is to inspire people, and when I got sober or became alcohol free or whatever you want to call it, it just became a passion of mine to help other people.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've said here before too, it's possible.
Yeah.
Your dreams are possible, and your dreams are your dreams for a reason. You might not know how to get there or how to achieve them, but one day at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Start somewhere. Yep. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And so I had this opportunity to write this chapter in this book, and I was like, absolutely. And then with that, a couple other opportunities came my way to talk about my story on podcasts. And then last summer, I was about to have my third baby,
Mm-hmm.
and we were like, let's go to the park. And I stumbled across Joy Hour, and we were like, what is this? And it was something else that's opened doors now for me too. And it's something that I'm grateful for. And it's something that I think is a really, really great thing. And Tom here has founded this amazing opportunity for people to get together and to create community and to come together. And not locally for us, we're in Washington, but it's awesome. And that was definitely a God thing.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that. The day that we stumbled upon Joy Hour in the park, we had, my husband and I had been having conversations that day and that week, and it's been a journey for us too.
Yeah.
Being parents and me being on this whole other journey, and we ended up having conversations with you, Tom, that day, and Jordan and I were looking at each other like, he looked at me a couple times when we were having that first initial conversation, sitting down, and you guys had similarities, and we were like, wow.
Yeah.
So that was cool. So thank you for Joy Hour.
Absolutely. I'm reminiscing on that day because it was bad with time. How long ago was that?
So I know I was about to have my baby, and he was born in June, and it must have been. So it was like. It must have been like spring.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like April, the end of
like
April or something.
9 months ago, probably.
Yeah,
So that was a period of time where Joy Hour did not have a building.
that was.
We actually technically don't have a building now. We lease one, but eventually we're going to own one and be permanently set up again. But so thankful that Joy Hour continues on, and we've had about 70 events now, and so glad you're a part of it. You know, once you're in, and you know, everybody's welcome. It's open to everyone, but it is creating a culture of connection. But during that event, as you remember, even that first one, the conversations got pretty real pretty quick.
Yep.
And as the kids are playing, and as people are eating food, and as people are just interacting, certain ones of us find a way to have real conversation real quick.
Yeah.
I have found that's been through being vulnerable and open. I think when we met, you know, it wasn't me right away jumping into asking direct questions of you or your husband, but the best way to open that door, I shared, I think, just kind of what I've been through.
Yeah.
And then it became a safe conversation.
Yep.
And I love that what I see, and I'm learning more about you, is you're doing that. You know, you're in that book writing about your story, and by sharing your story, you know, it's not for everyone, but who it's for, that's it. That's the most important part. Somebody goes, I can relate to Stephanie, and I'm going to get a hold of her, whether that's phone or online or in person.
Yeah.
You're there as a friend and as a resource to say, hey, this is what worked for me. And so what you can share with somebody is similar but different than what I can. And, you know, I want to pause at that part about you writing in that book. I'm sure there was times, and maybe still times, where you hesitate. And maybe others are going, why are you talking so much about what you've been through? Why are you sharing details about what you've been through? And I just want to encourage you to follow your heart. And you know, some people, they completely get it. Some people don't. I've experienced that a lot. But how can you really develop that real relationship with somebody else unless you open up and be vulnerable? Like if I'm just like, oh, my life's fine, everything's great, you know, have a great day, and people are like, wow, he's got the perfect life, and I don't. But if I say, actually, I don't, I'm lucky to be alive, I've been through this or that, or
Yeah.
hey, I'm still going through this or that. I mean, I'm still going through things. I'm still
Yeah.
working on things. We never arrive to this point where, hey, we figured it all out. And
Yeah.
so I think being vulnerable and open in the right place at the right time can make a deeper friendship and a deeper relationship with somebody else. It's really important not to think of ourselves as any better or any worse than each other.
Yeah.
No matter who you meet, nobody's higher or lower than each other. Nobody's more, you know, arrived or not arrived. We're just on a journey trying to be better than ourselves yesterday, not compared
Yeah.
to somebody else. And so that vulnerability and transparency, whether you share it at a Joy Hour, whether you share it online, write a book, all the above, that's what I think in people's lives really makes the difference.
Yep.
You know, your kids are going to know not if they make a mistake, right? But when they make a mistake, they can talk to mom.
Yeah.
They say, hey, she's there for me, and she's not going to love me any less if I share this with her. And our kids are going through things already. You know, my couple kids are in their teens right now, and they know that they can talk to dad about anything because they know my mistakes, and we've talked openly about them as a family. But you know, people will have their own views. I respect that and understand that.
Yeah.
Sometimes people say, whoa, Tom, you're too much, or why do you share so much? And you know, if I share in a room of 20 people, even if it's just for one person,
Yeah. I was just going to say
I'm
that.
not wanting to offend anybody else.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to be too, you know, fire hose Tom, but I am trying to say enough that one person could safely feel safe and pull me aside and say, hey, can we meet? Can we talk?
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I can't fix his problems, her problems, but I can sure be there as a person that loves them, and it's worked.
Yeah.
I mean, I have friends and people that are becoming friends that only do that because they know, like, Tom, you're an open book, and we feel safe. We never would have known. Because, I can put on a front, I can put on a face, right? That
Yep.
the perfect life, the perfect job, the blah, 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 or whatever perfect is.
Yeah.
But I think it's so important to do that, and that's how, we clicked as our families were, at the Joy Hour was more that real conversation. How are you doing? What are you really going through?
Yeah.
Question for you as far as men and women in recovery from different things. Have you seen more of a hesitation? I mean, it's hard for me to speak from a woman's point of view, of course, but my perception's been that women are more hesitant to speak openly. I could be wrong, but I'm around a lot of men that are like, yep, I fell down, yep, I went to rehab, and they're pretty vocal, like, hey,
Yeah.
I don't care what people think, this is who I am.
Yeah.
But with women, it seems like sometimes they're more hesitant, and do you know why that would be? Or?
I've seen both ends of the spectrum. I see there's a lot of women that I actually look up to that are on similar journeys, and they're very open about it and proud of their journey, and not afraid to tell their story. But then so I have created a little, well, not really, I have an online presence, and I am on Instagram a lot, and anybody can check me out.
Where's that at?
Yeah, my handle is Mrs. Steph Palady, but it's Mrs. _Steph _Palady.
Okay.
And I talk a lot about what we're talking about right now, but I also talk a lot about being a mom and postpartum and all of that stuff. But because I am in groups and on social media and I'm getting distracted. But yeah, because of that, I've had people come to me that are like, I don't know where to start. I can't talk about this. I have this struggle, but my husband doesn't know how much I'm struggling. So I've seen both ends of the spectrum. And I feel like maybe why that would be for a woman would be because we tend to wear a lot of hats. And, when it's hard to say, hey, you know what, this is a struggle for me. And again, I'm choosing to share my story vocally because I have this desire to inspire other people, but that not everybody does.
Right.
But, it just, yeah, it's okay to not be okay. That I kind of lost my train of thought a little bit.
Are you supposed
but
to have it all together? I think is the
Yeah.
As a mom.
Yes,
I think you are. You're expected to.
You're expected to
have it all together.
Yeah.
And it's what's going through my mind is I'm just glad that you are on the show today, and you are doing what you're doing online on Instagram and Facebook, and that sort your article in that book. Continue to do it.
Yeah.
And know that, at least from what I've experienced in these short 2 years, the results have motivated me to do it more often. You probably know, I think I've shared this, but 6 months ago, maybe 7 months now, I lose track of time, other than my sober day, I know that. But
Yeah.
I the longer you live, the more you see and the more you experience. And we know that somebody's going to find sobriety as we did because they want to. Nobody could force it or wish it or demand it out of somebody else. Somebody's got to get to that point that says, I'm done. Whether that's alcohol, whether that's shopping, or anything else. I just get to the point, I'm just done. And that's that rock bottom. My point there, though, is when you do live longer and start to lose people,
Yeah.
that ultimately it's not your fault. You can only do so much, pray so much, talk so much, listen so much, and that person does make their own choices. But as you are around others and you see them, whether it's they lose their life physically or they lose other things, and you want to help, you want to fix. But I think all we can do is continue to be a voice and to be an ear that says, as long as there's breath, there's hope. Yesterday is yesterday. you're alive and we're talking right now. Let's keep in this vein, this conversation. And most people don't know, when those conversations happen, but be ready for them. It's that phone call that starts out with, hey, how are you doing? I was just light and surface, but then you go deeper, you're like, oh, this could have been a life or death phone call.
Mm-hmm.
This person was starting with this topic, but really they were in a dark spot, but they knew they could talk. And we got to be the ones that go, I'm hearing something different. Like, hey, what did you really call for? Or, hey, where are you at? Can we meet?
Yeah.
Do you want to meet? Do you want to jump in the car and talk for a little bit?
Yeah.
Most people, when they're going through an addiction and they want to quit or depression and they don't know a way out, they're uncomfortable to say, hey, I'm really not okay. Like that conversation earlier, how you doing? I'm fine, I'm great.
Yeah.
But how do we make it a safer world, safer community to say, you know what, you called me, and it sounds like you called me for this, but what's really going on?
Yeah.
Hey brother, hey sister, how are you doing? And that's the loving your neighbor as yourself.
Yep.
And I think the biggest thing is, if I'm gonna love my neighbor as myself, I have to start with loving myself.
Yeah.
My flaws, whatever those are, my insecurities,
Mm-hmm.
to truly look in that mirror, like you said, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna drew my hand and do a high five on the mirror.
Yes.
I'm gonna try that.
Yeah.
Because there's days I don't. It's still a challenge to say, whether it's physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, there's days I don't love myself.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm gonna go out and go about my day, how am I gonna help anybody else if I'm starting out by not loving myself?
Yeah.
Wherever I'm at, whatever my weight is, whatever my health is, whatever I'm going through. And it's a daily journey to say, high five myself. So,
Yeah, something that I've learned a lot recently, or just over this journey, is like, no one's really gonna come and save you. There was a lot of time. I spent a lot of time thinking, like, looking for someone or something to save me or to pull me out. But ultimately, it came down to that, me looking in the mirror, like, okay, are you gonna save yourself and pull yourself out of this, or what? And I did, and I learned that all the time. And sometimes it can be a lonely, even if you have family and support and stuff, it can be a lonely journey. But I will say, over the past 2.5 years, a lot of the people that are in my life right now are new and different people. I've had a lot of people fall off that I don't talk to anymore, and I could sit there and look and be like, oh, why is that? It's my fault. I did this and I did that, and sure, maybe. But, if people choose to not be in my life, like I kind of have a motto that I say, like, with love, bye. It's okay.
yeah.
So.
I know we've talked about a lot of books today. I'm halfway through one called Relational Intelligence.
Oh.
And I wish I would have read it a long time ago. I grew up in a way where it was love everybody loves me, and if I think you're this type of friend and I'm this, I was seeing things that weren't really there. And so this book talks about, as you meet people, know that there are friends, of course. We all want to be friends and have friends, but there are some people that are associates. There are some that are an assignment. And that one really caught my attention, is
Interesting.
when I have somebody that's an assignment, it's meaning we met, we hang out, and I am to pour something into your life. Not that I'm better, but maybe I'm just older, maybe I'm further along, maybe I went through a life experience that can help that person, right? Like our kids, or like anybody. There's other people that I'm an assignment to them. We call it mentors, right? Influencers.
Yeah.
That's a popular word these days, right?
Yeah.
But really choose those people, and when you meet people, love everybody, but start to put those kind of classifications and titles, I guess you'd say, on people. That's an associate. We see each other every day, every week, great, but they're not one that's really, truly got your back and truly loves the raw, real you. And it's helped me because I got hurt a lot of times by not having boundaries and just being wide open, thinking that person truly loved the real Tom.
Yep.
Only to, when real Tom did something, find out, oh, That's not what it was.
Mm-hmm.
You were meant to be an assignment or an associate, or again,
I
I'm only
like
halfway
that.
through the book, but it's really helped in that along with boundaries.
Yeah,
And
boundaries.
it's,
Wasn't never taught anything about boundaries.
right.
It's okay to have them. They are healthy.
Right.
They're not easy to create sometimes, but they're definitely beneficial.
Absolutely.
And as far as this or this book that you're talking about with relationships, like some people are in your life for a season
Right.
and a purpose. I am somebody that lets people in very easily, and I do want to be friends with everybody, but I have had to learn how to have some boundaries. Like I love people,
Mm-hmm.
and I like to love people, and I like to be open with people. I'm at the point in my life too where I don't really have anything to hide, but there are certain people, like you're saying, that our assignments are in our lives for a reason, and
Mm-hmm.
some people will be there longer than others. Some are just for a season, and some will end up being for a lifetime, but
Right.
it depends.
And thinking about the word jealousy as you talk there, a lot of times in my life I have been jealous of others,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was their financial status, their physical status, maybe their intelligence. You know, I don't have the best and biggest vocabulary. I'm not strong in a lot of areas. I don't like to play trivia.
I don't either.
I usually can get a lot of laughs out of people whenever I play that, because I really don't do great at that. But that's okay. That's who I am.
Yeah.
Would I like to learn more? Sure. That's why I'm reading books. Would I like to be more qualified or intelligent or whatever? Yeah. But at some point, you get in these circles, or the more you are yourself, maybe the less quantity of humans are in that circle. Again, love everybody, but in that true circle, it's like when you are yourself, naturally that will dictate who your circle is.
Mm-hmm.
You start to realize, like, every time I'm in this environment, I walk away feeling uplifted and encouraged and inspired, and I mispronounced 50 words, and I lost at every trivia game, and people even laughed at me because of this or that, and I still had a great time, and I went home feeling good,
Yeah.
feeling joy.
Yep.
But I think this pursuit that I had for so many years was, I have to drink alcohol to fit in.
Yes.
I have to keep the conversation on things I'm knowledgeable about, like construction or whatever. Don't waver from that, because I'm insecure.
Yeah.
I don't want to be laughed at. I don't want to be teased. I don't want to be not accepted. I don't want to be not be cool.
Yeah.
I think, at a young age, we talk about kids a lot, fitting in and peer pressure. I would beg to argue that peer pressure sometimes even gets more so as we get into adulting.
Oh yeah.
Like what are the first questions people ask a lot of times? Hey, how you doing? So what do you do for a living?
Yeah. What do you do for
Where
work?
where do you live? Or what do you drive? Or
Yeah.
like,
Something that, like you're saying about like who you surround yourself with and stuff like that, and sometimes putting yourself in those scenarios, you'll end up finding your gifts and your talents, and we all have them, but sometimes we're not aware of them. But we all have them.
right.
Yep, and sometimes they'll come out in certain scenarios, and you'll learn something about yourself that you didn't know,
Right.
or you'll teach somebody else something that they needed that they didn't know that they needed, and then you're there, then you're, helping them with whatever it is. So yeah.
That word gifts is so important. You have 3 children, I do too. They're all different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure what career path that my kids will go into. I'm not pressuring them to get into any one field yet, or at all. I don't plan on pressuring them. Encouraging them, yes.
Yeah.
But I do hope as a father that they find a career that they love. Of course, I hope it makes good money to live a good life, so to speak.
Yeah.
As far as a house or car or things that are necessities. But nothing would make me feel more successful as a father than to see them with joy
Yeah.
and peace. And
Peace.
if that means one of my kids makes $40,000 a year and does, whatever,
Whatever. Yeah.
Like park, I don't know what they make, but park ranger, janitor, you know, anything, an artist, a musician, or the next one, you know, makes 3 times that and does something else. You know, I read an article one time about how the cost of living has gone so high in Seattle and Bellevue and different neighborhoods in San Francisco, of course. And the article caught my attention because it talked about when the price point goes up, it drives out the culture. What does that mean? So I read into it, and it's like, how can the artists, musicians, chefs, you know, small business owners, employees, you know, how can they afford, you know, whatever they were talking about for the price point? But talking about how Seattle, this was years ago, was starting to get to the point of San Francisco and pricing out the culture. It was interesting to read about the demographic and the downtown urban area of, like, yeah, if you're only making 50 grand a year, you're not going to live in this city. You know, nothing wrong with that, right? But you can drive out the culture of a community based on price points. And so the money drives a lot of our decisions, right? We want to be liked. We want to be, you know, financially, you know,
Stable.
well off, at
Yeah.
least and stable. But I love being in atmospheres where it is diverse. You know, you
Yeah.
think about it, if we were all the same, if we all made exactly the same amount and had the exact same career, it wouldn't work.
Mm-mm.
Like, if everybody was a doctor, it would not work. Who's the school teacher?
Yeah.
You know, who's the restaurant, who's the chef, and who's the contractor? That's me, by the way. I swing a hammer. That's what I do. Who's the hairdresser?
That's, yeah.
You know, and it's a beautiful world when we let each other truly be themselves and celebrate their gifts.
Yep.
Say, you are an incredible artist. I'm so thankful you do that. I mean, look at the art on the wall, and you know, look at this. Or you're a great musician, and just complimenting each other. If they're happy, you know, there's that balance about finding something you're good at, finding something you enjoy, and that is profitable.
Yeah.
But what good is it to be just profitable and hate your job for 30, 40 years? To be
I
miserable.
know. That's a tough one though,
Yeah.
because a lot of people are doing that
I know.
these days, and I'm one. I mean, I really, yeah, I'm a hairdresser, but I also am. I don't know, just letting doors open, and I there's something else out there coming my way.
And we do it.
Helping people.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew that I wanted to help people so much until I went on this journey that had been calling my name for a long time, but I was resistant to it. And yeah, I was like, I'm going to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is just who I am. And boy, was I wrong.
By being vocal like you are, it's helping to create a safe space and pull others out of isolation.
Yeah.
It's a big population out there, and
It
you
is.
know, this podcast isn't for everybody, but the people, I hope, that are listening and will continue to share this with others will know, hey, follow Stephanie, you know, check out Joy Hour. Hey, there's communities, there's all kinds of things in your community that are there to really encourage, inspire you, where when you leave a conversation, when you leave a get-together, you're like, you know, I can do better tomorrow.
Yeah.
Not
At least be open-minded.
right.
You got to be open-minded.
Yeah, and not be better than him or her, but
Yeah.
be better than me yesterday.
Yep.
That's the journey. That's the process. Is just, I would like to be a better father tomorrow than I was today. Am I a horrible father? No. Am I a great father? I don't know. That's still up in the air. Am I the perfect husband? I know I'm not that. But you know, celebrated 21 years last week, and I'm working on being a better husband. Read a lot of books, but I hang out with people that encourage me, inspire me.
Yeah.
In the outer circle of associates or others, you
Mhm.
know, I still love them, and they can think I'm weird, wacky, crazy, fire hose Tom, talks a lot. To each
Is
their-
that what people have called you in
Yeah,
the past?
yeah,
That was
yeah.
a nickname?
Yeah, fire hose Tom,
That's funny.
Tommy Tomato. Got lots of nicknames, and ultimately, just on my own journey, trying to again be a better husband, better father, reach people by using my voice and.
Yeah.
Learning to listen more. I know there's times where as I became clean and sober, I probably did so much talking I wasn't really listening.
Yeah.
And I'm not arrived yet at where I want to be when I meet people or talk to them, but I strive to be better at talking enough where they feel safe. And then whenever they start to talk, truly listen, and then go, hey, have you heard about this resource?
Yeah.
Hey, have you heard about this book?
Yeah.
Hey, you know what, you should talk to Stephanie. Some of the things you shared are similar to her journey. Maybe you should meet Stephanie. And then we introduce people to each other.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a one size fits all as far as
No.
our journeys.
It's kind of the beauty of it.
Right.
And I like that. I've also learned on this journey, like, something that was actually scary to me was like being sober and thinking that I had to go to AA or I had to go to rehab, which when I was younger, I did do those things, but I'm not on that journey now. But I've learned on this journey that also is different. Like, recovery looks different for everybody. Not everybody is, going to AA or doing a 12-step program or anything like that. And I know people on both ends of the spectrum. And that was something good for me to learn because, yeah, it just was. I don't know why I had to say that, but everybody's journey looks different regardless. And there's no right or wrong way. It's what works best for you.
Think about the gym or think about diets that are out there.
Yes.
Same thing. Like you walk in a gym and if all they have was treadmills, don't think it would work.
Yeah.
You've got people, they swear by the treadmill.
Yeah.
And others do CrossFit and others do free weights. But it's like that in life.
Yes, it is.
It's not just a one size fits all. And so we are a resource that says, hey, this is what worked for me. We tried this and it seemed to really help, and I want to be there for you in my thoughts, in my prayers, in my encouragement, and hey, we'll see you next week. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And there's no better joy. There's no way of finding that real joy, I think, until you volunteer, do service work, reach out to somebody else and go, I had a part in that. Not for some recognition or trophy, but just and to watch their life then for the next year or two or forever get better. No different than your children. You want them to not make the major mistakes we did, but you want them to be encouraged and inspired to be a better version, and we can do that. It's not that hard to reach out and share with somebody, but I don't think any results really happen until we open up a part of ourselves and say, whoa, real talk.
Yeah.
This is why I wear this wristband. It says one day at a time. It's got a lot of meaning to it.
Yeah.
And here's my story, and I hope that it encourages you, whatever your story is. It might be different, but there's a lot of similarities as we get through our struggles. So is there any other things? I know we got a few more minutes here, but I feel like there might be a couple things we didn't talk on today. We'll do another episode at some point together. But
yeah. I'm trying to think. Not really. Try to touch on a lot of things that I know helped me. I think we covered a lot of great things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Keep on being a wonderful mom and balancing all the things in life that you do, and can't wait to get together more often. I know so far we've just seen each other at Joy Hour, and so exciting when that happens once a month.
Yeah, I was talking about the last one. I was talking about it on my Instagram, and I have like 3 people that were like, oh, remember to invite me next time.
Right.
And I'm like, I will. Thanks for saying something.
Yeah.
Come hang out. It's good for all ages. That's what's really cool. I have a babysitter, and she's 18 years old. Mm-hmm. And I even was like, you have to come with me. Yeah. Bring your friends. Like, this is a safe place, and there's people of all ages there. Mm-hmm. And I've not been to one that I haven't had a good conversation or met a new person or had something in common with somebody. So it's a really great place to be. It's usually during the week, right?
So always Wednesday, the fourth Wednesday.
Fourth Wednesday.
Easy to remember.
Okay,
fourth
Wednesday, good to know. At 4 to 8.
Junior Achievement Building in Auburn, Washington. And many other things happen out of there as far as the relationship part. There's other classes and programs that we're involved with. And if you're interested more about the Considerate Group and Joy Hour, all that goes on, we're here to help each other, kind of like we're trying to today as best we can, sharing our stories.
Yep.
But in the Joy Hour environment, it's also with bouncy houses and ping pong and all the
Yes.
stuff that goes on. And you know,
It's
you
really,
can have
really
those
cool.
great conversations right in the middle of all that going on. And then exchange phone numbers and help each other throughout the week. You
Yeah.
know, again, there's never been a month of my life where I've just been great for 30 days in a row.
No.
Like never.
Life
I used to
ebbs
think
and
it was
flows.
because I was constantly taking something into my body.
Yeah.
So I was normal, right? I was there. But now I'm
Yeah.
like this. And
Allowing
I'm
yourself
not
to ebb
supposed to
and
be, right?
flow.
I'm supposed to be a man and everything's great and I'm tough. and-
gosh.
right? That's what girls told me for years. But
Yes.
now I'm kind of a roller
I am an
coaster.
advocate for men speaking about their emotions. Like, I will shout it from the rooftops. Like, I tell my husband that all the time, and he shares a lot with me and stuff. But I know that there's a lot of men. It's society makes it
Yeah.
difficult for men to want to open up and feel safe opening up because, you gotta.
There's times that I have, and I know why. It's in the wrong environment. It just doesn't
Yeah.
go in the right direction. Somebody could weaponize it against you, or somebody be like, "Oh, he's that drug addict," or "He's that," you know. No,
Yeah.
I'm not an addict. I don't say I'm Tom. I'm an addict. I never will.
Yeah.
I'm in recovery from addictions,
Mm-hmm.
and every day I have a choice.
Yeah.
Period. That's
Yeah.
how I like to say it. You can say whatever, you can think whatever, but as of right now, today, because I don't care about the past. God doesn't
Yeah.
either.
No.
But as of
He'll
right
meet
now,
you right where you're at.
Right. I am in recovery from addiction. That was the past. And every day I have a choice on what.
That doesn't
fills this
mean,
glass.
and that doesn't mean that it's easy. You know, I mean, there's a lot of times where this little thought of, not that, oh, I'm going to go drink, but the thought of alcohol or something, well, it's not going to go away. It's
everywhere.
It's everywhere. I probably think about it every day. Not that I'm going to go do that, but it is just like, we have the choice. And
Yeah.
I mentioned too earlier about memories, and ever since I've started sharing my story, there's a lot that has come uncovered in my life that I either forgot or chose to forget or subconsciously forgot or whatever, but there's a lot of things that like I have covered up that I maybe should have addressed and I never did, and then I was just kind of floundering through life. But now when these memories come up, I kind of take them for what they are and laugh about it or cringe about it or just like let the feelings arise and then let them go. Most feelings and emotions and stuff are not, it's not a permanent thing. This ebb and flow of life is exactly that.
Yeah.
So,
And
and it's normal.
just recognize them for what they are.
Yeah.
Today, I'm down. Today, I'm angry.
Yep.
I'm working through it.
And that
Hit me up
emotion
tomorrow.
wheel is something that's
Yeah.
new to me. It got introduced to me. I'm actually doing like a group thing for
Mhm.
20 weeks right now, and that is part of our workbook.
Yeah.
Pull that wheel out.
Mhm.
It's really interesting because we want to jump into, oh, I'm mad, I'm angry, I'm happy. But then within those, it kind of,
Yeah.
you
More
can
detailed.
break it down. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really
One
cool.
of my house, it says feelings are like ocean waves. They never stop. They keep coming. We just decide which ones to surf. And I got it off a little bit there, but
Yeah.
you get the idea.
That's cool.
So being aware of those. But I am so glad to do this today. And
Yeah,
we're
me too.
about at the end of our time here, Stephanie. But thank you for being on the Joy Hour
Yeah.
podcast.
Thank you. I was very excited to be here.
Yeah, we'll do it
Counting
again.
down the days. Yeah. Cool. I look forward
Good
to it.
share, and if anybody wants to reach out to us, you know how. And have a great day.
Thanks so much.